In a cold and silent corner of a large alien station, a small girl sat alone, her body thin and fragile, her eyes empty as if she had already given up on the world. The station was full of noise and movement. Different alien species walked past, each other, talking, laughing, choosing children to take home. But no one stopped for her. She did not look like the others. Her lower body was missing, replaced by a broken support frame that barely worked. She could not walk. She could only sit and wait. Many families came and looked at the children. Some smiled, some showed interest. But when they saw her, their faces changed. Their eyes turned cold, and they moved on quickly. "She is too weak," one of them whispered. "She will not survive long," another said. "She is a waste," someone else added. The girl heard every word, but she did not react. She had. It was protection. She had stopped hoping a long time ago. Other children were picked one by one. Happy voices filled the air as they left with their new families. But she remained in the same place. Unmoving, unwanted. Hours passed. The crowd became smaller. The lights dimmed slightly as the station prepared to close for the day. Still, she waited. A caretaker walked by and looked at her with tired eyes. "No one came for you again," he said softly. But there was no kindness in his voice, only routine. The girl looked down at her hands. Pain and fear. But now those feelings were fading, replaced by something colder, something empty. It was easier not to feel anything at all. Just as the last group of visitors began to leave, a new figure entered the station. He was different, tall, broad-shouldered. Wearing a dark uniform, his steps were steady and calm. His eyes moved across the room carefully, observing everything. He was human. Humans were rare in this part of space. And when they did appear, they usually did not stay long. Some people noticed him and whispered. Others simply ignored him. To be chosen, but he did not stop. He kept walking, his expression unreadable, as if he was searching for something very specific. Then, suddenly, he paused. His eyes landed on the girl in the corner. Girl did not look up. She did not expect anything. No one ever stopped for her, but this time the footsteps did not move away. Instead, they came closer. The caretaker quickly approached, slightly nervous. "Sir, you don't want this one," he said. "She is damaged. She cannot walk. She does not speak. No one has ever chosen her." The human said nothing. The caretaker continued. "We have stronger children, better options. This one will only be a burden." Still no response. Slowly, the girl lifted her eyes for the first time. Her gaze met his. She expected the same look she had seen so many times before. Disgust, rejection, or pity. But it was not there. His eyes were calm, steady, and something else. Something she did not understand. For the first time in years, she felt something move inside her chest. A small, unfamiliar feeling. Hope. Or maybe fear. The room was quiet now, everyone watching, waiting to see what the human would do. The caretaker sighed. "Sir, it's better to leave her," he said. There was a long silence. Then the human finally spoke, his voice low and firm. "I'll take her." The caretaker froze, shocked. "Sir, are you sure?" The human did not look away from the girl. "Yes," he said calmly. "I'm sure." The girl's heart began to beat faster, something she had not felt in a long time. She did not understand why. She did not know what would happen next, but for the first time, someone had chosen her, and everything was about to change. Everyone in the station was still watching, unable to believe what they had just heard. The human had chosen her, the weakest child, the one no one wanted, the one everyone avoided. Whispers. "He is making a mistake." The caretaker looked confused, almost uncomfortable. "Sir, has never responded to any treatment." The human finally looked away from the girl and signed the adoption pad without hesitation. "I understand," he said calmly, but his voice carried something strong, something that made the caretaker stop arguing. The girl sat frozen, her small hands slightly shaking. She had heard promises before. She had seen people change their minds before. She did not believe this would last. Slowly, the human stepped closer and crouched down to her level. For a moment, he said nothing, just observing her quietly. "You don't have to be afraid," he said in a soft voice. The girl did not respond. And trust was something she had forgotten. The human reached out his hand, not touching her, just offering it. The human gently lifted her, careful not to hurt her fragile body. She tensed immediately, her body stiff like stone. But it did not come. Instead, she felt something different. He was careful, steady, warm. No one had ever held her like that before. Walking toward the exit, carrying the girl in his arms. As they moved through the station, many eyes followed them. And he did not look back. The girl slowly looked up again, her eyes scanning his face, trying to understand him. Why her? She was broken, weak, silent. Yet this human carried her as if she mattered. Human walked inside and gently placed her onto a padded seat, adjusting the support frame so she would be comfortable. For a moment, they sat in silence again. The girl's eyes moved around the ship. Everything was new. Everything felt strange. The human activated the controls, and the ship slowly lifted off, leaving the station behind. As the stars began to stretch outside the window, the girl felt something unfamiliar again. She was leaving. For the first time in her life, she was not being left behind. Minutes passed, the quiet hum of the ship filling the space between them. The human glanced at her, then spoke gently. "My name is Aaron," he said. The girl did not respond. He gave a small nod as if he expected that. "That's okay, you don't have to speak." He continued. He leaned back slightly, giving her space. "I'll wait," he added quietly. The words were simple, but they carried weight. No one had ever said that before. The girl looked down at her hands again, her fingers slowly tightening. Inside her mind, something was fighting. A small voice telling her to believe, and a louder one telling her not to. Trust only leads to pain. She had learned that the hard way. The ship continued through space, moving farther and farther from everything she had ever known. But one thing was clear. This human was different. He had seen her at her worst, and still chose her. As the soft light of a distant planet appeared ahead, the human adjusted the course. "We're almost home," he said calmly. Home. The word echoed in her mind, unfamiliar and distant. She had never had one before. Could this really be her new life? Or was it just another moment that would disappear? The girl closed her eyes slowly, holding onto the strange feeling in her chest. Hope. Something she thought she had lost forever. The ship moved slowly through the sky of a quiet blue planet, soft clouds drifting below as the girl watched through the window. Her eyes filled with silent wonder. She had never seen a place like this before. Everything looked calm, peaceful, untouched by the noise and cruelty of the station she had left behind. The human Aaron guided the ship down carefully. Landing near a small home surrounded by open land, there were no tall buildings, no crowds, only silence and space. For the first time, the silence did not feel empty. It felt safe. Aaron stood and walked over to her, gently lifting her again, his. Out of habit, but not as much as before. Something inside her had already started to change. He carried her out of the ship and into the house, the door sliding open with a soft sound, revealing a warm and simple space inside. There were no bright lights or loud machines, only soft colors, a small table, a resting area, and a large window that let sunlight fill the room. The girl blinked slightly, adjusting to the brightness. Aaron placed her gently onto a soft surface near the window, making sure she was comfortable before stepping back. "This is your home now," he said quietly. The word again, home. She looked around slowly, her eyes taking in every detail, every. No one was telling her she did not belong. It felt. The girl stared at the food for a moment, her body still, her mind unsure. Food had always been something uncertain in her life, sometimes there, sometimes not. Slowly, she reached for it, her hands slightly shaking. She took a small bite, then another. Aaron watched quietly, saying nothing, giving her space. After she finished, she placed the container down carefully, her eyes still avoiding his. Aaron gave a small nod. "Good," he said, simple words, but they carried warmth. The day passed slowly, peaceful and quiet. Aaron showed her small things, how the light changed during the day, how the room stayed warm at night, how everything here was safe. He did not push her, did not expect anything from her. He simply stayed. As the sun began to set, golden light filled, watching the sky change colors, something she had never seen before. It was beautiful. A small feeling rose inside her again. Something fragile, something new. Later, as darkness settled, Aaron returned with the soft covering and gently placed it around her shoulders. "You can rest," he said quietly. The girl looked up at him for a brief second. There was no fear in his face, no pressure, no expectations, only calm. She looked away again, but this time, her eyes did not feel as heavy. As the room grew quiet, his voice low and steady, he told simple stories about stars, about distant worlds, about places where people helped each other instead of turning away. The girl listened, even though she pretended not to. His voice was different. It did not carry anger or coldness. It carried something soft, something steady. For the first time in her life, she was not alone in the dark. Hours passed, and slowly, her body relaxed. Her eyes began to close, her breathing becoming calm. But just before sleep took her, something small happened. But he did not move. He understood. Trust takes time, and this was the first step outside. The stars filled the sky, shining quietly over the small home inside. But deep within her mind, shadows still remained, memories of pain, rejection, and silence. And those shadows were not gone yet. They were waiting for the moment to return. The night was quiet, too quiet. Outside, the wind moved softly across the open land, and the stars shined gently in the dark sky. Inside the small home, everything seemed peaceful, but peace does not always last. The girl lay still near the window, her body resting, her breathing slow and calm. For a moment, it looked like she was finally free from everything that had followed her for so long. But then it began, a small movement. Her fingers tightened, her body stiffened, and her breathing changed. The calm was gone. Her eyes opened suddenly, wide and filled with fear, but she was not seeing the room anymore. She was somewhere else, back in the cold station, back in the dark corners where voices whispered and shadows moved. "No one wants you. You are broken. You are nothing." The voices returned, louder this time, sharper. Her body shook as the memories came rushing back, faster and stronger than before. She tried to move, but in her mind, she was trapped again. Hands pulling her, voices judging her, eyes turning away. Pain filled her chest, tight and heavy. She could not escape it. A soft sound left her lips, small and weak, almost like a whisper. It was the first sound she had made in a long time. Had been resting lightly, always alert, always aware. The moment he heard that sound, he sat up, his expression changing. Something was wrong. He moved quickly but quietly, not rushing, not making sudden movements. When he reached her, he saw it clearly. The fear in her eyes, the shaking in her body, the silent panic. She was not here, not really. She was trapped in something deeper, something painful, something he could not see. Aaron lowered himself to her level, keeping his voice calm, steady. "You're safe," he said softly. No reaction. Her breathing became faster, her hands gripping the surface beneath her as if trying to hold on to something real. The fear was too strong. Aaron did not try to stop her. He did not try to force her back. Instead, he stayed close, his presence steady. "You're not there anymore," he continued quietly. Still nothing, but he did not give up. He reached out slowly and placed his hand gently near hers, not grabbing, not forcing, just there. A moment passed, then another. Her hand moved suddenly, gripping his tightly. It was not a gentle hold. It was desperate, full of fear. He held her hand firmly, grounding her, giving her something real to hold on to. "You're here," he said softly. "With me." Her breathing began to slow, but the pain was clear. Years of silence, years of rejection, years of being unwanted, all breaking through at once. Aaron stayed with her through it all. He did not ask questions. He did not expect answers. He simply stayed. Time passed slowly, quietly. The storm inside her began to fade. Her grip on his hand loosened, her breathing becoming more steady. Her eyes slowly returned to the present, focusing again on the room, the light, the space around her, and him. For a long moment, they just looked at each other, her eyes still filled with fear. But something else was there now, something new. She had reached out, and he had not let go. Aaron gave a small nod, his voice still calm. "It's okay," he said. "No pressure, no expectation, just understanding." The girl blinked slowly, her body still weak from the moment. But she was back in the quiet room, back in the place that was slowly becoming something more than just a shelter, a place that was starting to feel safe. She looked down at their hands, still lightly touching. Then slowly, she pulled her hand back, not in fear this time, but in thought. Aaron did not react. He simply leaned back slightly, giving her space again. The silence returned, but it was not the same as before. It was no longer empty. It was shared. Outside, the night continued as if nothing had happened. But inside, something important had changed. The girl had faced her past, and, for the first time, she had not faced it alone. But deep within her, the pain was still there, not gone, not forgotten, just waiting. And next time, it might come back even stronger. Morning light slowly filled the room, soft and warm, touching every corner of the small home. The girl sat quietly near the window, her eyes fixed on the horizon, but her mind was somewhere else. The night before had changed something inside her. The fear, the memories, the pain. They were still there, but now there was something else beside them, something new. She was not alone anymore. Across the room, Aaron was already awake, moving calmly as he prepared for the day. He did not speak right away. He understood that silence was not always emptiness. Sometimes it was healing. After a few moments, he walked toward her and placed a small device on the table nearby. It was smooth, metallic, and softly glowing. The girl glanced at it for a second, then looked away, unsure. Aaron noticed but did not rush her. "I've been working on something," he said gently. No response. "That frame you have. It's not enough," he continued. "It was never meant to help you live, only to keep you alive." The words were simple, but they carried truth. The girl's fingers tightened slightly. She knew that better than anyone. Aaron picked up the device and activated it. Soft light spread across its surface, forming a shape in the air. 2 legs, strong, balanced, complete. The girl's eyes widened slightly, her attention fully captured now. "They're not just support," Aaron said quietly. "They can move, respond, adapt. They can become part of you." A long silence followed. The idea felt impossible. For so long, she had accepted what she was, broken, incomplete. The thought of change was not just strange, it was frightening. Aaron lowered the device slowly, watching her carefully. "I won't force you," he added. That mattered. Choice was something she had never really had before. The girl looked at the projection again, her mind racing. What if it failed? What if it hurt? What if it changed nothing? But deeper than all those fears, there was a quiet question. What if it worked? Her hands moved slightly, resting on the surface beside her. She did not speak, but she did not turn away either. Aaron saw it, the hesitation, the fear, and the small spark of curiosity that was enough later that day. He prepared everything carefully. The room was quiet, filled only with the soft hum of the device as it powered on. The girl watched every movement, her body still, her eyes alert. Aaron approached slowly, kneeling beside her again. "This will take time," he said calmly. "And it won't be easy. He paused for a moment, then added, "But I'll be here." The words settled in the air, steady and certain. The girl looked at him, really looked this time. There was no doubt in his expression, no hesitation, just quiet determination. Slowly, she gave the smallest nod, almost unnoticeable, but it was enough. It was her answer. The process began gently. Soft connections were placed, the device adjusting to her body, learning, responding. At first, there was nothing, then a slight reaction. Her body tensed immediately. It felt strange, unfamiliar, not pain, not exactly, but something new. Something her mind did not understand yet. Her breathing became uneven. Her hands gripping the edge beside her, Aaron stayed close. Watching carefully. "You're okay," he said softly. The process continued, slow and controlled. Signals moved through the device, connecting, adapting. The girl's expression tightened, her body struggling to accept the change. It was not just physical, it was everything she had believed about herself being challenged at once. She had lived so long thinking she could never stand, never move, never be whole. Now, that belief was breaking, and it was terrifying. A sudden sharp reaction made her pull back slightly, her breath catching. For a moment, it felt like too much, like she could not do this. Her eyes closed tightly, her body shaking again. But then, a familiar presence, Aaron's hand, steady, close, grounding her. "You can stop if you want," he said. Quietly, no pressure, no demand, just choice. The girl opened her eyes slowly, her breathing still uneven. She looked at the device, then at him, and something inside her made a decision. She did not pull away. Instead, she stayed. The process continued, step by step, slowly, carefully, until finally it was done. The new legs rested beneath her. Still, waiting, the room fell silent again. Everything had changed, but nothing had moved yet. Aaron looked at her, calm as always. "When you're ready," he said softly. The girl stared down, her heart beating faster than ever before. This was the moment, the line between what she had been and what she could become. Her fingers tightened slightly, her body trembling. Could she really do this? Could she stand? Or would everything fall apart again? She took a slow breath, her eyes focused, and, for the first time in her life, she tried. The room was completely silent, as if even the air was waiting. The girl sat still, her eyes locked on the new legs beneath her, her heart beating faster than ever before. This moment felt heavy, not just because of what she was about to do, but because of everything behind it. Years of being told she was broken. Years of sitting still while the world moved without her. Years of silence. All of it led here. Aaron stood a short distance away, watching quietly. He did not move closer. He did not rush her. This was her moment. And he understood that. "When you're ready," he said softly. The words were calm, but they carried strength. The girl took a slow breath, her hands pressing lightly against the surface beside her. Her body trembled, not from weakness, but from fear. What if she failed? What if she fell? What if this changed nothing? Her mind filled with doubt, trying to pull her back into the safe place she had always known. But something pushed against that fear, a small, quiet voice, the same one that had made her stay during the process, the same one that had made her try. Her fingers tightened. Slowly, carefully, she shifted her weight forward. The new legs responded, adjusting slightly, reacting to her movement. Her breath caught. It was working. But it felt strange, unfamiliar, like trying to control something that was not fully hers yet. She pushed a little more, her arms shaking as she tried to lift herself. For a second, her body rose. Then suddenly, she lost balance. Her body dropped back down, her breath breaking as the moment slipped away. Silence filled the room again. Her hands trembled, her eyes lowering. There it was, failure, the thing she knew best, the thing that had followed her entire life. Her chest tightened, her mind already whispering the same old words. "You can't do it. You were never meant to." Her body stilled, the small spark inside her beginning to fade. Across the room, Aaron watched carefully. He did not rush forward. He did not say, "Try again," or "You must do this." Instead, he took a slow step closer and stopped, just within her view. "That was your first step," he said calmly. The girl did not look up. "It wasn't failure," he continued. "It was proof." A long pause followed. "Proof that you can move." The words settled slowly, not loud, not forceful, but steady. The girl's fingers shifted slightly. Her mind replayed the moment. She had moved, even if only for a second. Even if she had fallen, she had still moved. Something inside her refused to let go this time. Slowly, she lifted her head again, her eyes returning to the new legs. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Determination. She took another breath. Deeper this time. Her hands pressed down again. Her body leaning forward. The legs adjusted once more. Responding more smoothly now, she pushed. Her body lifted again, higher. This time stronger. Her balance shook, her entire body trembling as she tried to hold the position. For a moment, it felt like she would fall again. But then, something changed. The movement became steady. The shaking slowed, and suddenly, she was standing. Her eyes widened, her breath completely still. She was not sitting. She was not falling. She was standing for the first time in her life. The world looked different from here. Higher, wider, possible. Her body still trembled, her balance not perfect, but she was holding it. She was doing it across from her. Aaron allowed the smallest smile to form, not loud, not overwhelming. Just quiet pride. "You did it," he said softly. The girl looked at him. Her eyes filled with something new, something brighter. She did not speak, but she did not need to. The moment said everything. Seconds passed, then slowly, her strength began to fade. Her body lowered carefully back down, this time controlled, not a fall, a choice. She sat again, her breathing heavy, her body tired. But her eyes were different now. The emptiness that once filled them was gone, replaced by something alive, hope, real hope. She looked down at her legs again, then back at her hands, as if trying to understand what had just happened. Everything had changed in a single moment. Everything she believed about herself was no longer true. She was not just the girl who could not move. She was not just the one left behind. She was something more now. Something stronger. Irene stepped back slightly, giving her space again. "This is just the beginning," he said calmly, and he was right, because standing was only the first step. The world outside was still the same, still full of doubt, still full of voices that would question her, and not everyone would accept what she had become. But now, she was no longer the same girl they had left behind, and next time, she would not just stand. She would move forward. The sky was bright and clear, stretching wide above the open land. The small home stood quiet, just like always, but something inside had changed. The girl stood near the doorway, her body steady, her new legs holding her weight with growing strength. Just days ago, this moment would have been impossible now. It was real. Her balance was not perfect, her movements still careful. But she was no longer the girl who could only sit and watch life pass by. She was part of it now. Behind her, Aaron watched silently, his expression calm but proud. "You're getting stronger," he said softly. The girl did not turn, but her posture shifted slightly, acknowledging his words. Step by step she moved forward, each movement slow, controlled, but filled with determination. Outside, the world waited. A small transport hovered in the distance, sent from the central colony. News had spread faster than expected. An alien child, once labeled broken, was now standing, walking, changing, and people wanted to see it for themselves. Aaron had not hidden her. He knew the world would come eventually, and he also knew she had to face it. The girl reached the edge of the doorway and paused, her eyes fixed on the open space ahead. This was different from the safety inside. Out there were the same kind of people who had once turned away from her, the same voices, the same judgments. Her body grew still for a brief moment. The past tried to return, The whispers. You are nothing. You don't belong. Her fingers tightened. Slightly, the fear was still there, but it was no longer in control. Behind her, a calm voice broke the silence. You don't have to rush. Erin said. She glanced back at him, just for a second, and in that moment, something passed between them, understanding, trust, strength. He did not step forward. He did not guide her. He simply stood there, steady like he always had been. The girl turned back to the open world, took a breath, and stepped outside. The ground felt different under her feet, solid, real. The light was brighter, the air wider, and for the first time, she was standing in it, not watching from the shadows. In the distance, figures began to gather, different species, different faces. Some curious, some doubtful, some whispering just like before. She's the one. The broken child. How is she standing? The girl heard them, every word but this. Time. Something was different. She did not lower her eyes. She did not shrink away. She stood taller. Each step forward stronger than the last. The whispers continued, but they no longer carried the same weight, because now they were wrong. She stopped a short distance away from the crowd, facing them, facing everything that had once rejected her. A long silence followed. No one moved. No one spoke clearly. They were waiting, watching, trying to understand what they were seeing. The girl's chest rose and fell slowly, her heart steady. This was the moment that would decide who she was now. Her lips parted slightly, a small movement, barely noticeable. But it was enough. For years, she had said nothing. Silence had been her shield, her prison, but not anymore. A soft sound escaped her lips, weak at first, then clearer. You. The crowd went completely still. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. Not loud, not strong, but real. She turned her head slightly, her eyes finding Erin behind her, standing just as he always had been. Unmoving, unshaken. Her voice trembled, but she continued. You stayed. Another pause. The words felt new, unfamiliar, but she held on to them. You didn't leave. Her eyes softened, the fear fading, replaced by something stronger, something deeper. ... You are my anchor. Silence filled the space, but it was no longer empty. It was full of meaning, full of truth. The crowd stood frozen, not because of what they saw, but because of what they understood. This was not just a girl who could stand. This was someone who had been given a chance, and had taken it. Erin gave a small nod, his expression unchanged, but his eyes steady, proud. The girl turned back toward the world, her posture strong, her gaze forward. She was no longer the child they had ignored, no longer the one left behind. She had found her place, not because the world accepted her, but because one person refused to let her fall, and that was enough. The girl who had no legs, no hope, now had a future, and this time she would walk into it.